Ableton should own itself. That is the conclusion that we have come to after thinking long and hard about what it take the company that we founded some 20 plus years ago. I'd like to tell you our story so that you can see how this makes sense for the business and also for us as founders. Ableton is a leading music technology company. With a team of about 500, we serve millions of music makers worldwide who compose, produce, perform their music using our products. I'd like to describe the evolution of the company in 3 stages. In the beginning stage, it was all about the product. We created the software that we felt was missing and needed essentially for ourselves, for our own music making, which was rooted in the 90s electronic music scene here in Berlin. So no market research, no user research, but an incessant focus on design and quality and the innovation in the product. Luckily, some forward-thinking musicians adopted the software and spread the word and helped it break through. So we entered a second stage only when we raised our heads above the computer screen to see what people were actually doing with the instrument that we had created. And we saw that innovative musicians used it in ways we had not anticipated. We also saw that community formed around the instrument. User groups popped up all over the world where music makers would get together to talk shop. And it sank in that Ableton had become part of music culture, and a new sense of responsibility awoke in us. This second stage expanded our focus beyond the product to the experts who use it. Now, one group of experts was pivotal for us to build a bridge to what I think of as the third stage of the company's evolution. And this is pioneering music educators who used our products in the classroom to inspire young people who might have been lost for music education altogether. The idea is very simple: show them how to make the kind of music that they actually love to listen to. And it's been immensely effective and successful and inspired us to set up a program where we make sure every school can use our product, if necessary for free, to teach young people how to make their own music. So we went further and created interactive websites where everyone can learn about music theory and sound synthesis and so forth for free, even if they have zero prior knowledge about any of these things. In this third stage, our focus expanded beyond the product, beyond the experts and the elite who's using it, to those who are left out. You see, music making can have a profound positive influence on a person's life. And that's why we want to provide inclusive entry points for as many people as we can to this world of music making. And for us as founders, it's closing a circle, because we have been very lucky in life, and music made it all possible. Music gave us meaning when we were confused. Music compelled us to study. Through music, we learned coding. Music taught us how to collaborate. We became entrepreneurs because of music. So if we can now make it a bit more likely that people, especially young people, get turned on by music, then that's a huge reward for us. The 3 stages that I've talked about build on top of each other. Each stage incorporates the values of the previous stage. And what you have as a result is a company with a very strong sense of purpose. It's a purpose that doesn't fit an easy slogan. The Ableton brand has tensions built in that drive it forward. It's a premium brand that makes cutting-edge technology for a creative elite, while at the same time working hard to tear down barriers of access for people without this privilege. So it's exclusive and inclusive at once. It's business and altruism combined. Leading a company like this requires a deep level of understanding and appreciation for this kind of complexity. And that leads us to the tricky question of succession. As it stands, Ableton is still majority owned and run by its founders. What can we do to ensure that the company can thrive and serve its purpose beyond our tenure and our lifetime? Over the years, we observed as many companies in our field got sold. It seemed like the default thing to happen. And sure, selling solves succession by making it somebody else's problem. But we felt this is not going to ensure that Ableton can continue on its pursuit. It's easy to imagine how a buyer's purpose could conflict with Ableton's purpose. If you think of a financial investor like a private equity firm, they might be pushing for short-sighted business decisions to up the company valuation with a view on reselling the company at a premium. Damage can also be done unintentionally, because a financial investor cannot be expected to understand the intricacies and the complexity of music culture and the Ableton purpose. So, what would happen if we just forget about it and do nothing? Then one day we die and our heirs inherit the company. And for us, it's a dynastic solution that does not make sense. Because if our children are actually interested in all of this, who says that they are the most competent people to make decisions on behalf of the company? And if they're not, then it's only logical for them to sell the company and we're back to square one. So it's a simple dilemma, and we, facing this dilemma, did some research to see if there's a third way. And we came across the same path of thinking that many entrepreneurs before us had gone, and that I'm sure many in this audience have also gone through. And we found out about the work of Zeiss and Bosch and how they have led the way. And we just resonated really strongly with the idea of steward-ownership as the most competent and the people who are the closest to the purpose should be holding the power. So we decided to transition to this model. And I'm going to give you a sketch for how we do it. In the conventional company ownership model, two sets of privileges are baked together: the right to decide over the company and the right to extract profits. We are now separating these privileges out into two different share classes, for which we can define independent roles. So, profit shares can still be sold and inherited, but decision shares cannot. They get passed on from one generation of leaders to the next, with no money changing hands. The leaders who hold the decision shares act as stewards for the company, making decisions independently from private financial interests. Now, this separation creates a tension. For the company, the best thing it can do with the money that it makes is to reinvest everything into the purpose, spending it on innovation projects, paying the employees well, etc. And that has to be the perspective of the steward owners, which can run against the legitimate interests of the holder of profit shares, who would like to see some profits paid out. Our preferred way to resolve this tension is to make the profit shares go away over time. From cash flows, the company can buy back some of its profit shares, but not all, because it's simply worth too much money. Therefore, we establish a charitable foundation that the owners of profit shares can donate their profit shares into. All profits that go to the foundation are guaranteed to serve Ableton's purpose. The money can either be reinvested in Ableton's growth, or it can be held on for a rainy day, or it has to be paid out for altruism in line with Ableton's purpose. We, the founders, donate enough of our profit shares into the foundation to make it Ableton's biggest shareholder in one go. We also agree on the conditions that will end our participation in profits altogether in future. And Ableton's minority shareholders, who have been supporting the company since the very early days, have also made important commitments. Yet, even with all such goodwill, it will take many, many years until Ableton is truly self-owned. The legal structure that we need to make all this happen is rather complicated. It's a version of the classic German Doppelstiftungsmodell. And that really is a workaround for a missing out-of-the-box solution for steward ownership. And it's been time-consuming and expensive to make this work. We're now awaiting the final approval from the financial authorities so that we can make the switch at last. For more details, I refer you to the workshop that's, I think, tomorrow at 2:45, that features our CFO and my co-founder, Jan, who is a deep expert on this at this point. So, the transition to steward ownership is a long-term project for Ableton. How is this relevant now and for who? I think it's all about trust. Think of a music maker investing huge time and energy into our instruments, achieving mastership. Think of an employee who puts in their most productive years. Or think of a school who exposes our brand to kids. I think it's important for all these stakeholders to know that Ableton will stick around and stay true to its purpose, that it will not be subject to financial speculation and exploitation. And we want to give them more than our word. We want to give them a legally binding guarantee. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gerhard. We again have time for 2 or 3 quick questions. So, I see someone over there.
Thank you for this really inspiring talk. If you had the option from scratch in German law, as you mentioned, it's hard to set up the structure. If you were able to set up a structure yourself, how would you do it on a political level to allow such a transition? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I think the answer is pretty much worked out at this point and also quite a deep level of detail. The initiative for Verantwortungseigentum that has been gaining a lot of traction over the past years here in Germany has elaborated and really worked out in great detail a suggestion to lawmakers in terms of a concrete law that I think would solve most of these problems and essentially make steward ownership a thing that is like as standard as an approach as today, you know, the founding as a GmbH would be.
Yeah, and this legal form will also be a big part of tomorrow's whole day, really. So we'll go into a lot more detail. Are there any more questions to Gerhard? There's one there.
Hi, Olivia, London, from London. Aber ich habe hier ein Gebäude gebaut, High Slope Block. Also wenn, soll ich auf Englisch? Sorry, in English. If you have a minor shareholder and you're actually looking for, you still own a large % of your company, you want your company to become purpose-led as a business, or you're building, which is what I have, then, and you're looking for new investors who have the same vision to carry it on, how's the best way what happened to you is going backwards, but I'm in the position of now having not much of investment in there, investors. How would you go about that to find like-minded people who want to enter either a business or, in my case, property?
To be honest, I'm not sure I would be the best person to advise. And I'm sure that there are people who are more versed in this audience, in this question. I'm sure that the workshops that are coming up will be excellent ways to speak to that question. I think, like you say, for us, it's really been the reverse. We started at a time when we knew nothing about the possibility of this. It was never crossed anybody's minds that this would even be an option. So we are really about trying to rebuild what we have into this new way of steward ownership. And it's, I think, a completely different set of problems.
Yeah, exactly. We do have workshops on startup investments and steward ownership, on investments in SMEs and steward ownership, and on investments in general in steward ownership. So good place to go, probably. Thank you so much, Gerhard. It was great having you here.
Thank you.